Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the King Island Ordinary Council meeting for the month of January 2026, our first council meeting for the year of 2026. And on that note, Happy New Year to everybody present here today, and Happy New Year to everybody who is listening to the recording. For the record, today's date is Tuesday the 20th of January 2026. I call the meeting to order and declare the meeting open at 4:01 p.m. Usual housekeeping, if you can please ensure your mobile phones are turned off or put on silent so that we're not interrupted during the course of the meeting. Thank you. Item 1, as always, is qualified advice pursuant to Section 65 of the Local Government Act of the State of Tasmania, 1993. Qualified advice has been received to prepare today's agenda. Over to page 7, the still newly required opening statement. As chair of this council meeting, I notify all that an audio-visual recording is being made of the meeting. All persons attending the meeting are to be respectful of and considerate towards other persons attending the meeting, and language and conduct at the meeting that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to a person attending the meeting or listening to the recording is not acceptable. Over to item 2 on page 8, attendance and apologies. We'll call the roll book, so to speak. I welcome all councillors and staff in attendance. We'll just confirm our councillor quorum numbers. Councillor Allen is running slightly late, but we expect him to join us shortly. Other than Councillor Allen, there are no councillor apologies and there are no councillors on leave of absence. So we are 8 of 9 as it currently stands. We should gust to 9 of 9, hopefully, as soon as Councillor Allen arrives. So we certainly have the required quorum for today's meeting, and we are good to crack on and transact council business. Staff attendance, King Island Council staff are here as required. We've done our comms checks with Malcolm, we're good with him. And staff apologies, we have Nanda still away on leave, and we have Chris, airport manager, who's put in a late apology with how busy the airport is this afternoon. So we'll just note those when we get to their reports later on in the agenda. Media attendance, as just mentioned, proceedings are being recorded and the media is in attendance. Public attendance, on behalf of King Island Council, I welcome all interested constituents here in our gallery today and those who will listen to the recording afterwards. For the opening statement, would everyone please stand? Councillors, to begin this meeting, I ask you to stand in silence to pray or reflect on our responsibilities to the people of King Island. We begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and we pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Thank you. Please resume your seats. A shout out and a welcome to 2 new council staff to kick off 2026. Eve Woolmore, who's in the back of the room here in the gallery. Eve has joined the King Island Council team, a payroll and customer service officer, part-time. So Eve, welcome to the King Island Council family. Great to have you working with us here in the council, and you're familiar to most, if not all of us here on the island. Also like to welcome Sandra Robinson. Sandra is our new casual gallery officer. Sandra is well known to us as well, especially from the Riccara shop in recent times. So a welcome to the King Island Council family, to both Eve and Sandra. Item 3 is presentations. There are nil for this afternoon. Item 4, contributions to the community. There are nil for this month. Item 5 is public question time. In accordance with what is an acceptable question below, if a constituent in our gallery wishes to ask a question or questions without notice, I will allow a minimum of 15 minutes public question time. Does anyone in our gallery wish to ask a question without notice? Kim, George, nice to see you here and present with us today. I thought you were coming in to ask a question, so there you go.
No.
Keeping me on my toes already.
Just to warn you all, hockey's full underway and you'll probably be all tapped on the shoulder at some point.
Outstanding. And just a reminder, not only for those present, but also to those who listen to the recording, it's always at the prerogative of our constituents and our ratepayers to come in and ask questions at a council meeting without notice, and to kick our tyres and to make sure we're representing you as you want us to represent you. So, and we'll always allow a minimum of 15-minute question time, public question time, and we'll give you the opportunity to frame your question, present your question, and if you could give it to us in hard copy at the same time, in case we need to take the details and notice, that helps us as well. So again, This is Democracy Manifest. Constituents are well within their rights to come and ask us questions without notice, and so I'll just remind everyone of that's a standing item 5 on our ordinary council meeting agendas. Move on to item 6, declaration of interests. Are there any declaration of interests for the ordinary agenda this afternoon? Councillor Cook.
On 15.3.
15.3?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Ira Cook. Any others? Okay, good. Thank you. We'll move on. Item 7, questions without notice by a councillor. Does any councillor have a question or questions without notice? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on. Item 8 is notices of motion or notices with motion. There are nil for this month. Item 9 is confirmation of the previous minutes. Our last ordinary council meeting was held last month on the 15th of December. Those minutes have been compiled and distributed for perusal. If councillors are happy, would somebody like to move acceptance of those minutes? Councillor Laidler has moved acceptance of those minutes. A seconder. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour to accept those minutes? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Over the page. Item 10 is the Mayor's diary for the previous month. Obviously, I am the council officer responsible for my diary. But before moving it and seconding it, I'd just like to thank the Deputy Mayor for covering for me whilst I was away on leave late last year. So the diary dates that are in there, 11th of December through to the 16th, were covered for me by the Deputy Mayor. So thanks, Vernon, for covering for me whilst I was away. So before we take any questions or discussions, I'd like someone to move the diary as it stands there. Councillor Green has moved. A seconder. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Wait. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Questions or discussion, please, if anyone has any questions. It was a reduced activity month because I was on leave, and then we had our usual Christmas shutdown, so it's not an exhaustive month. But we did have Anne Urquhart visit us the same day as our Christmas street markets, which was great to have her over to close off the year and to try and shape a few outcomes and things we're seeking early in 2026. That was good. They're really the only things I want to mention. Is there any questions or discussion? Councillor Green, you first.
11th of December, met with Ocean Dunes' new owner along with General Manager and Deputy General Manager.
Yes, I was away, so Deputy Mayor, over to you.
Anything good coming up there? I see there was an artist impression on the web, so because things had sort of ground to a halt, so I think everybody's keen to know if things are progressing.
It's pretty positive for what they're going to do. Yeah, we met the new owner and some of his staff. Outlaid what they're going to do.
Okay.
Very positive.
The General Manager can further elaborate as well.
And through the Mayor, just to add to that, they couldn't really give us any definitive details at that point, but they did say around February they'll be in a position where they can share more information, but it was all positive with new ownership now that they're going to be looking at rescoping the development. It won't be substantially different, but it will be different. But they're also looking at how they can broaden what they were doing as well. But specific details weren't forthcoming at this point. We also met with the new owner's wife, who it'd be a wife now.
Yeah, it would be a wife now, yeah.
The following week. And she certainly looks like she's going to be leading a lot of this work, and from her perspective anyway, they're going to look beyond just the golf and maybe things that the wives and the partners can do as well when they visit the island.
That would be a really good thing.
Yeah,
That's probably about all we can share at this point, though.
Just as
Really positive.
Really positive.
yeah, just as soon as they're back next, I look forward to meeting the new owners myself and having a good chat with them. And the rekindling of the development there is quite exciting. And if it's not delivered this calendar year, then early next year would be nice to conceptualise, and hopefully that'll be confirmed in the months ahead, and we'll move forward.
And they did say they were going to keep us posted throughout and keep engaging, so that's really positive as well.
Councillor Laidler, did you have a question?
Yes, just met with the North West Tasmania Police Commander to discuss law enforcement issues. Were there Any major issues?
Yeah, so the Northwest Police Commander visited on at the back end of the death of the boy last month, which was unfortunate circumstances. So he gave us an in-confidence update on that situation, which was nice of him to share. And then we just used the opportunity of a get-together just to talk about law and order and law enforcement issues on King Island and in Northwest Tasmania in general. We are having the top policeman, the top cop, so to speak, of Tasmania, Commander Johnson, is coming over to visit us. He's rescheduled it a couple of times, but he's in our diaries for late this month. So we look forward to having the Commander Johnson visit us later this month, and again we'll continue to develop and improve and keep the lines of communication open with Tasmania Police and ourselves. Any final questions or discussions related to my diary? Just confirming it's been moved by Councillor Green, it's been seconded by Councillor Ira-Cook, so we're good to go. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 11.1 is the operations report for both November and December. Nanda is the responsible council officer. He's still on leave. He's not back. He's back next week, is that correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so mindful of that, we'll take the report as read. We'll get a mover and a seconder and then we can deal with it. So somebody, Deputy Mayor, happy to move. Councillor Ira-Cook, you happy to second? Yeah. Okay, Councillor Ira-Cook is seconded. We'll now go through this section by section as we desire, with questions and discussion. Obviously, busy months for the works team. So again, no hurry, but when councillors are ready, we'll pile in at your discretion with any questions or discussions.
Have we had any update
Councillor
on
Green.
the quarry operations?
Any further update on the quarry operations other than our workshop discussions last Tuesday?
Yeah, through the Mayor. So we've created a principals group that's looking at a range of sort of depots operations. The quarry was discussed in detail. At this point, that group, which includes Councillor Ira, myself, Jess, the Works Operations Manager, Sally in her role as contracts, and the Deputy GM, was that there's still too much uncertainty with the quarry operations in terms of the rock quality and the amounts that we have available on the island, so we're not satisfied to bring an item back to council at this point. There wasn't enough confidence that we have a robust plan in place to be able to go forward and invest in that. So we will be gathering more information regarding that. So we expect something to come back to council in the next couple of months to workshop once we get a better understanding of what actually we need. There seems to be some sort of debate around the quality and the different quantities. Certainly with pear-shaped quarry closing, that's created quite a lot of difficulties and concerns, being the best rock we've probably got on the island. So we'll keep working through that. Nanda's back next week, so we'll have some more conversations with them. The resheeting program is a priority at the moment, so we believe we have enough crushed rock to fulfil that contract, not the resheeting, the resealing. So that will be our priority at the moment. But looking at long term, we still don't have a long term supply, so we need to, work through that issue at the moment. There's some challenges, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you.
No doubt the horrendous easterly gale we've just endured for 5 days or so has blown over more signs on the island, and there's some scattered debris and a bit of damage around the place. So I guess we'll see I anticipate an influx of service requests over the next few weeks to clean up that debris and storm damage, but hopefully we didn't fare too badly, although things are used to blowing over the other way, so they're not strengthened for the easterly as they are for the westerlies. But anyway, it is what it is. But hopefully it didn't do too much damage around the island, but we'll expect a few more service requests than we otherwise would for this time of the year. Councillor Layla?
Just wanted to get an update on the Narrakupa Jetty works, because it says expecting to commence in mid-January. If we've got any timelines for that as yet.
Through the Mayor, we'll take that on notice. Haven't had an update other than what's in the report at this point, noting that we're past mid-January now, so we'll provide an update.
That would be really good, and just it's really important to keep the residents at Maricopa and our fishing people notice. It's still there, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, with that terrible easterly, they probably wouldn't have got any work safely done over the past 2 weeks anyway. So maybe it's fortuitous that they're not here yet. So sitting idle with bad weather would be a lost opportunity for us and more expensive for us, no doubt. Any more questions then, or discussion points related to both the November and December works report? We've got those questions on notice for Fernanda, so we'll take those on board. So we're moved and seconded. Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Iracook has seconded. So if councillors are happy, we'll go to a vote. All those in favour of receiving the operations report? Carried unanimously. Over the page to item 12.1, Community and Culture Report for December. Responsible Council Officer is Taylor Stevens. Taylor, great to have you with us this afternoon. There's lots happening in this space, which is very exciting. So Taylor, firstly, at your discretion, if you want to hit any wave tops or highlight anything or plug anything, it's you're welcome to. Otherwise, we can take the report as read.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the GM, don't have any. I'll take the report as read, but just wanted to highlight the movie night. That it was just wonderful to have our first movie night at the Hub on Friday night. So we had a pretty packed house for the event, which was great. And just wanted to say a really, really big thank you to Lily Davis, Chris Green, Oliver Martinez, and King Island Regional Development Organization for their amazing help, because we really couldn't have done it without them, and it was a whole lot of fun. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you. We'll get someone to move the report, please. A mover for the report. Councillor Green has moved. Councillor Layla has seconded. Right, we'll go into questions or discussion and deal with the report. Just like to notice or highlight to everyone there that the next King Island Spin meeting is scheduled for next week, Wednesday the 28th, which is good. Again, always plenty happening in that space. Hub Movie Night, great to hear about that. The 2026 Artists in Residency Program is already underway. Brock here at the moment is the first one for 2026. Came in and courteously introduced himself to us last week. He dropped into my office today for a chat, which is very nice to see. So we'll keep those lines of comms open, please, where each new artist or residents, when they first arrive, please come and introduce them to us so we can support them, we can get to know them, or we can just track the success and the participation and the take-up rate of the Artist in Residency program. And yes, building up for a big Australia Day celebration on Monday in Narracoopa. It's going to be a huge event, so well done to all those involved, particularly the Australia Day Council of ours, Narracoopa Progress Association, the Community Car Theatrical Troupe, and everyone involved. There's a lot of people involved in next week's event, so it's going to be a humdinger. I'll just also mention there on page 24, you can see we've got the gallery throughput and the gallery sales up until the end of the year, which is good. The figures there are quite encouraging. What it doesn't mention on there is hub visitation numbers, but the total hub visitation numbers, I've got them here in front of me, from August through to December for that period, not excluding July when it was packed and busy because we had the big opening ceremonies and other events in July. So just from August to December, 3,520 people visited the hub or went through the hub in some shape or form. So they're very encouraging numbers and very, very good to see. So hopefully that'll lead to more uptake of the hub for venue hire and other things, but it's very encouraging for the first 6 months of our new hub facility. Any other questions or discussion points from councillors regarding this report? All right, so just confirming. They moved by Councillor Green, seconded by Councillor Laidler. We'll go to a vote. All those in favour to receive this report? Carried unanimously. All right, over to item 13.1, the financial report for the month of December. The responsible Malcolm officer is, of course, Malcolm on the screen. So, Malcolm, firstly, at your discretion, if you'd like to hit on any highlights or plug anything specifically, otherwise we can take the report as read. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just some general commentary. Angela, just to give us some key highlights. Everything that we did mention, and this has all come to the council workshop in February, will be on site for, is that based on our first 6 months, our cash position at the end of the year is going to be too low. I mean, we've said that in the last 2 or 3 months. We talked about an action strategy being developed. We're currently finalising that myself and with the Deputy GM. I've sent quite a bit of work on that. So that's in track. We haven't received, for this year, we haven't received any grant income to date. And we see in the commentary it reads that we're addressing that for second half of the year. But again, this is with the Deputy GM, but there's a number of acquittals that need to get rid of, including the acquittal for the final payment of a hub, the acquittal being, of course, the requirement by the funding bodies to receive the next tranche or the final tranche of payments. So we should receive some of that money coming in the second 6 months of the year. Of what we refer to the big four, the airport, quarry, private works and waste, bit of a mixed bag. Airport is tracking, tracking. Landing fees are actually above budget. Previously we had a slightly unfavourable position compared to budget, but that's pared back, so it's pretty close to where we'd expect the airport to be because of those favourable landing fees. Quarry is better. Last month we mentioned that we needed to address that with some reallocations because of the unfavourable position. We did have significant production during December, so that's clawed back a lot of that. We are still working through that, as the GM's previously alluded to. So quarry has improved this month. We've still got some work to do in that area. Private works surplus, better than expected. However, that's because of expenditure saving rather than additional income. Obviously, we'd prefer to have the additional income, but the fact that we've been able to reduce the spend on the private works keeps within budget. One that's probably we've alluded to there as an unfavourable variance is the waste. You'll see there on the detail of the waste report, the contractor's budget year to date is significantly over budget. When I look at that, the bottom line is only about $39,000 over, and I say only. We've also, again, just the Deputy GM, had a look at this. We may have identified some potential costs that hopefully, fingers crossed, may have been incorrectly allocated to waste and would be in the capital works in terms of quarry. So this relates to cartage of gravel and sand. If that's the case, even though the contractor's line will be over budget, the overall bottom line will be online to budget because of expenditure savings elsewhere. Now, we are working with the team to where we can bring those contractor costs back within budget. It's possible because as part of the cost overrun, we're looking for some savings that we can identify for the second half of the year, and some of the, if you like, under budget expenditure in the waste area, such as the employee costs, we're hoping to identify that as a saving for the end of the year, rather than offset overrun of contractor costs. So it's really, we've put there to be transparent and say, yes, there's some overruns in waste. We're working on it. It's over in the contractors. We're working on the detail of what comprises that. Apart from operations, there was some leach at cartage costs as well as gravel and sand cartage, which may be applicable to the quarry capital works job. However, with the overall position on waste is about 39.40 over year to date, and if there's an incorrect allocation, we'll actually bring it back on budget. Probably the key things, but probably be more detail we'll provide in the council workshop where we're working on some expenditure savings to call back, as I think was mentioned in the report, the necessary expenditure overruns, and then the savings for this year, and then setting up for our financial plan analysis for what it looks like in the next 4 or 5 years. Thanks for that, Mr. Mayor.
Right, thanks, Malcolm. We'll get the report moved and seconded. Would somebody like to move? The Deputy Mayor has moved. A seconder. Councillor Green has seconded. Deputy Mayor, anything you'd like to start on? Your call. I'll just start off, get questions and discussion flowing. Yes, we've started early in our budget preparations, or management of the current financial year, and also early consideration for our next financial year budget preparations annual plan. Started that last week at our workshop, so we've got a lot happening at the moment, which is great. And in particular, very robust internal review of our current expenditure, our current asset and property portfolios will be robustly reviewed and audited over the next few months, and that can be fed into some obviously our budget planning and annual plan preparation in the months ahead. But we've definitely got some economic headwinds in front of us, and they continue. And also, as a small isolated country council, we've got our challenges. We're headed to a very, very low debt council. Whether that will be able to continue, we don't know. But these are all things we're going to have to consider and factor in the next 6 months and take into consideration. Strategically, we've already done a couple of things. We've submitted our King Island Airport Community Service Obligation business plan to the State Treasury for consideration as part of their next state budget preparation. So we got that in and have invited the responsible minister, Eric Abetz, over here to talk about that. So that's one big important iron in the fire that we've got going. We've also given that Airport Community Service Obligation business plan to our federal MP, Anne Urquhart, who was taking it to the Federal Transport Minister. So that might open up another avenue of opportunity for us. But otherwise, we'll continue to look at avenues by which we can submit that CSO. And that CSO will also form a big part of our pitch when the State Grants Commission visits us. In my diary, it's the 13th of March, isn't it? We're expecting to come here again this year in person at the State Grants Commission. They carve up all applicable grants that Tasmanian councils get, including the federal assistance grants, carve up. So we'll give them probably the biggest and best pitch we've ever given them about our economic headwinds and challenges, and we'll also submit them our community service obligation business plan for our airport as evidence to underpin some of the additional increases we'll respectfully request and ask for. So we're doing those things strategically, and there'll be plenty of other things that come up soon we'll work on and we'll work towards. But yes, clearly we need to increase our cash reserves. We need to robustly assess and audit our assets and our property portfolio. They're all works in progress. And this year we're going to have some decisions to make about on those fronts. And so I know we're all working towards it, and we'll position ourselves to be able to make the best decisions we can. Shore up our cash reserves, shore up our financial position, continue to keep ourselves sustainable, minimise our debt, and give our constituents confidence that they deserve for how the council should be run in a disciplined and prudent financial management way. So councillors, questions or discussion? Councillor Iracook.
Yeah, my question concerns private work. The council derive a lot of income from private work, most of which is the state roads. We do also normally get private work of different nature around the island. As this month we only got $1,000 worth of private works. What I want to know is other private works being done? If it's not being done because we're not supplying the gravel, well, that's fair enough. But if it is being done, who is doing it and where are they getting their supplies from?
Yeah, through the GM to
I'll go through to
or Malcolm as well might be able to answer some.
Yeah, I have a little bit of commentary around private works. It's a discussion I've had with the team a couple of times recently. So I think there is, in general, less of it happening because we are not doing as much. It tends to come in swings and roundabouts a little bit anyway, but definitely at the moment our gravel concerns are impacting our willingness, I suppose, to take on additional private works. While it's an excellent money-making venture when we can do it, we also need to make sure that we can do what we need to do first. So it's one of those things that we're kind of carefully weighing up at the moment, taking a slight pause on big private works just to make sure that we have enough for what we've got going on. I think there are, from time to time, other suppliers that would come to the island that can do some things. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. There have been times historically in the past where council has done private works we've had to fully contract out, which actually makes it not make a lot of our money back anyway. So there's just things, I guess, that we're managing carefully, and something we're going to look at again when Nanda gets back. But in, I guess, the recent months, we've definitely been very cautious on, or a bit more cautious on private works, just to make sure that we can do our own stuff as well.
And just again, for those, especially those who may listen to the recording who are not aware, private works, for King Island Council's perspective, most of our private works that we undertake in a given financial year is done for the Tasmanian State Growth Department, who subby us to look after the state growth main arteries and roads here that is actually state government property, not council property. They subby to us because we're the best equipped and qualified, and we're the logical people to do those roadworks for them here on King Island. And any acceptable profit margin we make from doing those works for them is then fed back into our own works needs and requirements and gives us some additional resources there. So it's a win-win arrangement, but effectively us subbing for state growth to do the roadworks here for state growth is considered private works, whereas most people out there would think private works are us doing people's driveways and other things like that, which isn't the case by and large. Occasionally we'll do that, rarely these days because we have so much of our own works and backlog of works and requirements and other stuff, but that's the situation with private works. And again, because we kind of have a monopoly for private works for state growth here on the island, again, we're best qualified and we're the best, most logical subby for those works, but sometimes it runs afoul of audit reports as well. Audits often don't like that either. So, but it's a win-win arrangement. It's good for King Island. It's good for the council. It's good for the state government as well. So
and we do have a couple of state growth contracts in the works. So we've got a couple of work orders coming up for them. So there'll be a little bit in the next couple of months. Yeah. So and obviously they've deferred some work recently on account of gravel and other considerations, but hopefully next financial year and the year after, the circumstances will allow them to get back into and expand the funding they've got for us, and obviously that'll come to increased income for council through private works, etc. More questions, discussions? Councillor Rowan Cook.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just got a query and just a bit of clarification on the airport operations, page 27. I basically just want to know, so it says here that the overall deficit reflects the amount funded directly by council, being a projected budget deficit of $486K by the end of the current financial year. So I'm just wondering, is this something we should be concerned about at the end of the financial year? And is this deficit normal?
Thanks, Councillor Cook. Start with you.
I will ask the finance manager to answer that, but ultimately, yes, the airport does run at a deficit, and that's the reason why we have gone and asked for the CSO funding. But I'll ask the finance manager to elaborate further.
Yes, yes, through Mr. Mayor, yes. We've budgeted for that deficit of 486, so it's in the budget. It's one that's had quite a lot of discussion, and obviously it's one that in order to have the airport as a strategic asset of council, but it needs to be subsidised by the ratepayers. So what this report does is so that the fact that councils has allocated $486,000 for the year for that, how is that tracking against budget? It's essentially pretty much on track. It's marginally over, but plus or minus, it's on track to that position, even though we'd prefer not to have that deficit. But this report just saying how we're tracking against that trend of the income and expenditure throughout the year after the 6 months mark. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
I'll just add that, yes, getting our airport break even or profitable, slightly profitable, enough to reinvest in the airport complex itself is definitely the holy grail for us, and we're going to work at it. A little bit of good luck going our way wouldn't hurt either, and that might be happening now with a few things afoot and some strategic moves. But certainly in the future, we want increased throughput through our airport, we want increased air traffic, we want increased PAX passenger numbers, increased air cargo, and hopefully we'll gradually trend that way over time. Recent, we put the feelers out to the Royal Australian Air Force to fly down here and do more training, and we've got a great working relationship again with Beach Energy now. We're bringing their choppers through and refuel and whatever else, and so with that, and one thing leading to another, and hopefully an expansion in airline operations here, and in the not too distant future, and us continuing to work and invest on our airport complex will eventually lead us to a point where we're break even or profitable. And not too many councils in Australia own and operate their own airport, so we do, and we've been stuck with it since the early 90s, since the federal government gave it back to us. But it is our most important logistic complex on the island, and it works its backside off for us every day of the week. So we can't lose sight of that. So again, we'll continue, all these initiatives and many others, and we've got an excellent airport manager now who's up for the challenge of trying to, again, get our airport complex expanded into the future, and getting it run again and profitable again is a big part of everything he does and how he approaches everything as far as running the airport is concerned. But yeah, it's going to be a while until that happens. How long exactly is anyone's guess, but who knows? It'd be nice to think that this year we might see a significant turnaround. We'll always work with that, as we'll always work towards that and try and make that happen, but a whole lot of circumstances and a whole lot of things have got to play in for us to do that. Our debtor situation for our airport isn't too bad. Again, most of our airport operators are good payers, pay off on a monthly cycle or whatever else. So thankfully recently we haven't had to chase any bad debtors for our airport operations, which is good. And hopefully in the near future we might introduce new airline operators and others into King Island when our airport complex is ready, which could be a real game changer and a paradigm changer for us. But in the meantime, we've got to make the most of the complex as it is. We've got to rebuild, as we know. Sharp and Rex Airlines have been through separate but similar challenges in recent times. Resetting our relationship with the new Rex Airlines management is a high priority for myself, and I know the Transport and Freight Committee as well. We'll hopefully do that in the months ahead, and if we can look to grow Rex back to 3 flights a day like it was back before COVID, we'll jump at every opportunity to try and do that. So, but yeah, many moving parts in this space, but we definitely want our airport complex to pay for itself and to have a little left over to reinvest in the complex. And as I mentioned before, we're having a crack at state funding, federal funding, whoever at the moment might be interested in funding current operational losses for our airport complex or future expansion works on the airport complex as well. Any other questions relating to the financial report? Any questions related to the financial tables, pages 30 to 37? All right, if there's no further questions, confirming the Deputy Mayor has moved, Councillor Green has seconded. So if councillors are satisfied, there's no questions relating to the financial tables, we'll move on and vote for the report. Okay. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over to page 38. 38 is the Airport Services Report. We covered some of this just now. Airport Services Report for December. The responsible officer is Airport Manager Chris Newton. He's put in a late apology this afternoon. He mentioned to me today that the airport's extremely busy. Now that the easterly gale has gone, the airport's pretty chockers for the rest of the week, and hopefully it will stay that way through until winter starts to bite. As we just said before, we certainly need our airport complex to be used. We want it to be used. We need the throughput to continue to turn it around and try and make it break even. So that's good news. And I know we'll watch keenly in the next month or two with aircraft movements as to how they're tracking. GM, did you have anything to say on those aircraft movements?
Just a correction through the Mayor is that a decrease of 72 movements compared to December 2024, so okay. That will be a typo in there, but similar to previous months where there has been a decrease as when compared to the 2024 months, is at less aircraft flights, and that's played a key role in that in the decrease in movements.
Yeah, typically March is our busiest month for aircraft movements, so we'll see how the numbers trend this year. But I know FOCI and other big events in February would certainly like more capacity, and if we can do anything to influence that in the short term, we'll certainly do that. I guess we'll just have to see how the numbers pan out in the next few months. The bowling terminal was mentioned at our workshop last week. We are going to have an opening soon that confirms, and some sort of a small dignified ceremony to reopen the bowling terminal as the bowling terminal. So watch this space for a date set for that. Councillor Green?
It's nice to notice that there's a vending machine in the
Yes.
airport now. Now, did council install that, or did the operator of the cafe install that?
Good question, Jim.
Yeah, through the mayor, my understanding was the operator of the cafe.
No, it's very good to see. I went out there for a coffee yesterday and there was actually people using the vending machine. So, no, I think it's going to be a worthwhile thing to have there.
Is it a vending machine that takes cash?
I didn't even look at that.
Yeah, some are these days, some aren't. But anyway, I'm sure there'll be someone who wanted the other and it wasn't available. But anyway, you're right. The vending machine is a great improvement out there for when the cafe is closed and not available, which is, I think, at the moment it's only one day of the week. So Saturdays, yeah, okay.
But, you know, for late flights and things, it does provide that extra, you know, little bit of comfort for people if they need a drink or a snack or whatever. And we all know that the flights don't always run on schedule.
Yes, absolutely. Any other? Did you have anything else regarding the airport report, airport complex? Any other questions or discussions then from councillors? I'm sorry, I should have moved it and seconded it first. Can we have a mover for this report? Councillor Healy has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. Sorry, I should have done that first. That was my oversight. Councillor Green. Any final questions or discussions then related to the airport services report? Councillor Ira Cook?
Yeah, I had one of the locals asked if we intend to do anything with the tie-down things for the planes. He's concerned that with the winds that we've been having the last week or so, planes might get blown away out there. And he said the tie down, the concrete blocks and that are still there, but the rings that attached to the tie down things too are all rusted away. And I was just wondering if we have looked at this thing and are we planning to do anything about it, or do we need to put it in as a service request?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Cook. Yeah, absolutely. All the tie-downs and all the provisions would have got a flogging over the past week for sure. And I'm sure out of that there's some lessons learnt, which the airport manager can back brief us on, and well, I guess we'll take this on notice and ask him.
Yeah, through the mayor, I think it's best that we take it on notice. It has been a discussion point. We have discussed it. I think where we're looking at some of the master planning was going to pick a lot of this work that's required up, and we now are likely to delay that. So we'll take that on notice and report back on that.
Councillor Green.
Through the mayor, obviously it probably have to be taken on notice. Just wondering how the public toilet access outside terminal hours is progressing. And we has it started, or have we had any uptake on?
Thanks, Councillor Green. Through the GM to you, Jess, if you can answer this.
Yeah, so it's a work in progress. So I have the draft documents ready to go. I need to get them back out to the operators. It's been a very busy time of the year, and I'm very aware that they are very keen to get this up and running. But it's a work in progress. I hope to get it out very, very soon for them. I guess there will be an opportunity, for limited negotiation with the draft agreements as they're sent out. Probably not a whole lot of change available because they're very much structured to make sure that people are doing the right thing and taking responsibility for the right thing being done on their watch. But yeah, I have 2 lists of operators that I need to get together and get those out. So yeah, hoping to get that out by the end of this week, I would hope.
Thank you, Jess.
All right, any final questions then, or discussion points related to the airport report? Just confirming. Councillor Healy moved it, Councillor Green has seconded it. So if councillors are satisfied, we'll go to a vote now. All those in favour to receive the report? Carried unanimously. Over the page to the council workshops, item 15.1, council workshops held. We've only had the one workshop so far to start the year of 2026. That was last Tuesday. GM, anything to add for that? All right, so we'll punt this straight through. Can someone move the report, please? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor Rowan Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page to, and if anyone in the gallery or the recording is catching up with us, we're on page 42, item 15.2, information report for December. The GM is the responsible officer. There's a fair bit to go through on this section by section, so we'll get a mover and a seconder first. Somebody like to move? We can deal with the item. Councillor Green has moved. A seconder? Councillor Laidler has seconded. GM, did you want to kick off with anything in particular?
Just good news that the DA for the new ambulance station and staff accommodations now been approved.
Yes, that was definitely the good news to close off last year. The building permit, or DA, for the new ambulance station adjacent to the hospital complex, $5 million that the state government has set aside for this long overdue development on King Island. That is happening. So the next steps will be Pitt and Cherry, we believe, are the design team behind this new ambulance station. They'll go to construction tender for someone to build it. I guess when that's locked in, they'll come back and talk to us with a lot more certainty about when construction will commence and delivery timeframes, etc. So, and obviously, if there was any final tweaks or last-minute tweaks to the final design of the ambulance station that was earlier brought to us for consultation. Councillor Laidler.
Just a comment, it's great to see the new robotic dairy as well. Something happened in that space. Also, the demolition of units in Grassy. I remember in 24 there was a lot of concern about the buildings in Grassy and the loose stuff and asbestos. Yeah, well, more the loose bits and pieces that were flying around Grassy. So it'd be interesting to know how they've coped in the last couple of weeks with that, because there was quite some dangerous things happening in that space, and probably something that council could look at.
Yeah, well noted, Councillor Laidler. We'll monitor that, and we'll monitor it via our waste working group as well. Yes, you would anticipate that it will produce some asbestos that's going to end up in one of our waste facilities sooner or later.
Yeah, it's more that something's happening, because there's lots of empty buildings that are not in very good condition at all, that do need to probably be removed. Because of the safety aspect of the flying debris, other than the asbestos.
And you're right about the new robotic dairy. That's a very, very exciting new investment by King Island Dairy 2. It's a sizable investment whereby they can explain it better than all of us, and there's been a few articles on this in the paper. It's actually quite fascinating. But the cows are conditioned to milk themselves, and once they're conditioned to milk themselves, they can almost double the milk they produce. So it's not only a way to make the whole process more efficient, but also to increase the available milk on the island, which we know definitely has to happen for full rate production of cheese to come back, and especially the holy grail of one day bottled milk here on King Island as well. So that's a step in the right direction, and it's good to see, and we commend that large investment and technological investment by the still new owners of the King Island Dairy.
I think that's our second one too.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right, we'll move on. Go through this section by section as required. Service requests for the month of December, 7, reasonably quiet. Our monthly average is typically about 20, and only a backlog of 8. So after the big easterly gale, I'm sure there'll be plenty more service requests that'll quickly jump on if they haven't already. Nothing to mention on service requests. Okay. Procurement reporting. Certainly after tonight's meeting, a few big ticket items will jump on that list, but there's nothing new on the list, I don't think. That's obviously pending decisions tonight. Page 46 onwards, the action list. The actions list, again for the gallery and those listening to the recording, the actions list, or the action list, tracks recent council resolutions and recent questions, tracks their progress for foreclosure and delivery. So that's what the action list is. So we'll work our way through the action list. Any War Memorial Park, number 1, the top of the list, with a saga there. You can see before you, there are surveyors here at the moment surveying to be able to title up that parcel of land to give over to us as council. So that's happening literally at the moment, and it's good to see. So that's what those surveys around town with their instruments that you might have seen and noticed around, that's what they're
I was
doing.
just about to mention that, thinking that things must be getting slightly closer.
It's very exciting because I'm led to believe that after this survey is completed and to the satisfaction of the Surveyor General, it's all academic after that. So let's just wait and see. But it's in terms of the steps in the process, I think that we are very, very close.
The champagne bottles are coming out.
Councillors, you will know you'll all be invited around for a barbecue.
Any other questions or discussion points related to the action list? GM, is there anything you wanted to specifically raise on the action list?
There's, through the Mayor, obviously there's one regarding the vintage car. I note that the previous owner of the car, who we have an agreement with, would like to get it out of the airport so we can get it fixed. We have cleared a workshop ready for that. Prior to Christmas, it wasn't at the right time. I think it was just probably everyone was a bit busy, including Fred. After Christmas, we hope, this year, we hope to get it out sooner rather than later, but also acknowledging now that airport's pretty busy, so we need to find a quiet slot to be able to get an electrician in to remove one of the doors, and a few of us out there to push it across the road. So really keen to get that out of the way sooner rather than later, as would Councillor Ira, as would the previous owner Fred. So certainly hasn't dropped off the radar. We're just trying to finalise a few dates when we do have a new ARO starting at the airport next month, early next month, so that will take some of the load off the staff there. He is qualified, so only needs a bit of refresher training, so that will certainly help free up some of the manager's time, so he's currently doing quite a lot of the ARO duties, so once he's away from doing that, he'll be able to support this process. So apologies, Councillor Earl, but we're getting closer, I think.
The council reconsider their position advocating for a community-based paramedic and to consult on the matter with the Volunteer Ambulance Group and the SPIN Group. I understand that that there's going to be that councillors are going to be able to go down and have a look at the current facilities, but is there any opportunity to have that discussion with them at the same time?
Yeah, look, we've got our liaison visit with the ambulance team booked for, just remind me of the date, is it the 10th of February? It's a Tuesday afternoon.
It's around that.
Around the 10th of February, I think it's, but yeah, so we'll go down and have a good chat to them, give them our support and solidarity, see what digs they're currently in. Hopefully, we can talk about the new ambulance station and other things with more certainty than we've been able to talk about them for a while, so that's a good thing. But it's gone a bit quiet on the technical analysis for the community paramedic, or exactly what clinical specialty is required here on the island. That's gone quiet, but I can re-energise that in the weeks ahead. Or you've got the points of contact for the ambulance lead who came back to us on that clinical stuff. No problems if the SPIN Group wants to contact him direct and see if he's in a position to be part of a SPIN Group in the near future.
I'm thinking a subcommittee of this. I don't know. Yeah, the SPIN Group itself is a bit too big to have this as an overall topic. So probably a working group of that group would be good. But I also like the councillors to be engaged in that discussion.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that as something to discuss with the ambulance team when we visit them next month and say, how should this play out? How can we help you? And I guess we'll try and follow what they want, how they would like it to happen from a local perspective, and support and advocate for that. All right. So any more questions or discussion points related to the information report? Just confirming, Councillor Green moved, Councillor Layla second. So if there's no further questions or discussion, we'll go to a vote. The recommendation, pages 56 of the information report for December, be received and noted. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 15.3, Community Assistance Program. Councillor Ira, was this the one you were going to sit out?
Yep.
Right, thank you very much. Hopefully we won't be long. We'll grab you shortly. All right, so yes, 15.3, Community Assistance Program. Responsible officer is Leah. We did workshop this last week. Leah, anything to add before we move and second it?
No, thank you.
It's for an upcoming event. Appears to be a new event type for the island, which looks quite interesting and exciting. I know we definitely support it. So
Yeah, definitely. We've had a bit more information come forward, including a mud map of the area and what's happening there. So
a collaboration between King Island Community Radio, the museum complex. I guess there's probably others involved as well. For late March, so that's a very interesting looking event and activity, and something a bit new, which is great to see. So we'll get a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor, happy to move. Councillor Healy, happy to second. Any specific questions then, or discussion points from councillors? Are we happy with this?
Yeah, no, it's been good. Be good.
Yeah.
Get some history in King Island.
All right, we'll go straight to a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Mindful we're 7 of 9. We wish that event every success, and I know that we'll probably all be there and be supporting it for sure. If Councillor Allen doesn't make it at all, we'll give him a retrospective apology. I think it's looking that way. All right, sorry, where are we? Now, over to page 67. Item 15.4, approval to purchase a replacement garbage truck. The responsible officer is the General Manager. We workshopped this only last week. We understand how important the replacement is, and long overdue replacement of this plant equipment is. Those rubbish trucks deliver our core council services. GM, anything you want to add before we move in second?
Just a reminder, Mr Mayor, that the reason why this is in front of you today is because of the cost escalation as opposed to what was budgeted through the annual plan. The Deputy General Manager has worked hard to find savings within our current budget, so there will be some capital deferrals into potentially the next annual plan or this coming annual plan or even future ones, which means that we don't require any further funding, which is a good news story. But as you said, we do need this truck. We hopefully can get it here around March, April. So just looking at your approval, mainly for the deferral of those capital projects and the extra expenditure that is required.
I'll get a mover and a seconder for the report. Somebody like to move? Councillor Green has moved and Councillor Rowan Cook has seconded. Questions or discussions relating to this? As mentioned and as we discussed obviously at our workshop last Tuesday, we anticipate a 10-year service life for this new plant, this new truck, which to cover off on the investment that we're going to decide upon tonight. And if all goes well, a 3-month or 2-month delivery window for the new truck. We'll get it here pretty quickly, which is definitely what we need. And then the council staff, based on this successful introduction of the new shiny new truck and how that's working, how that hits the road here, so to speak, the council will then operations team will then make a decision on whether they keep the old truck as redundancy or as an emergency backup, or if they decide to do something else with it, and they'll keep us informed on that front. Yeah.
Yep.
Councillor Layla.
Yes, just noting one of the deferrals is the Narracoopa Playground. The grant was unsuccessful, just for those people that are listening, but there will be, the Narracoopa Progress Association will go back and review their plans for the playground, and it will certainly come up for discussion again in this year's budget. Narracoopa I keep saying, we need to stand up for our little other smaller towns.
Yes, that was a co-contribution, so they
Yeah.
didn't cough up their 50%, we didn't have to cough up our 50%.
Yeah,
That's
but
why we've got some budgeted funds surplus
That's
there.
right, yeah. So there will certainly be plans for Narra Cooper, and it may mean some other things that we had in plan. We've got to look at the shelter and a whole lot. So, yeah.
Councillor Ira, did you have a question?
Yeah, referring to the tyre cutter and shears, excavator attachment, etc. We already have, if you go to page 52, you'll see we have a motion on the books to purchase this equipment, and it's been there for quite some time. I'm not sure whether that's been ordered or anything, or hasn't.
Through the Mayor.
Yeah, through you, Jim.
Yep, so that's part of, pardon me, sorry, that, again, they're things that when we make changes to the capital budget, we bring it to councillors for a deferral. Those things are still flagged as part of the RMF grant and the waste changes. If we can get them, there's still things we want, well, there's still things we need, but we can possibly get them included in grant funding that we already have in train or additional waste grants. If that happens, then they are still priority projects that will be completed as part of this financial year. However, on balance, when it comes to capital expenditure of our own, they can be deferred for a little bit longer to make sure we can get the garbage truck. So I've spoken to the waste team and the operations team, and they have agreed that they're things that at worst case scenario we can defer if we can't get external funding. With the RMF grant, with the variation that we know is with the state and the feds at the moment, there is I guess giving room for cost escalations and that kind of thing. There's a bit of wiggle room in the final exactly what we're going to buy, not the main things but the extra bits. These two are kind of extra bits sitting with that grant so that they can be approved to be spent, the money can be spent on them as long as we don't go over, because we're not going to, that's how much we've got to spend, that's what we're going to spend. So they are still sitting there though to take up the extra cost if we can, or otherwise we can look for other grant funding. So not to say that these things aren't important. Same Narra Cooper Playground, again, that was a co-contribution that was guaranteed by council as part of a successful grant application that didn't come through. So these are not, we're not saying that these things aren't important, just in our current climate and with reprioritising at this point in the year and what we've got coming up, they're things that have been identified that could be deferred as a worst case scenario.
Right, just the other bit is also on page 53, it says there the hire of tyre shredders, not the purchase. Is this also included in the...
It's an option that's with the RMF grant. So,
but is the hire of tyre shredders that going to be deferred too, is it?
it depends on that's a separate issue. So the $50,000 was a capital project that had been put into the budget.
Yeah.
So assuming that we were purchasing it, there was $50,000 there. If we go down the route, depending on the outcome of the RMF grant, if we can hire one, then it's cheap. If it's cheaper, then we can still consider that as part of that grant.
Two different things. One's a commercial big one for shredding tractor tyres and types like that, which is the hire bit for, and the other one is just one for normal tyres, which was purchased.
Yeah. We do have a tyre shredder at the moment, don't we? The smaller one that's doing car tyres. So we're under the limit at the moment that we can have out at the site, and the team are confident we can keep it under that with what we have.
For now.
Yeah, that's an important consideration. That small shredder that we've currently got that's working away keeps us under the acceptable margin for the total number of tyres we have on hand.
So those motions there, they have to be deleted, like they're already on the books?
That's a good question. We'll take that on notice to see what the implications are. It might be if they are resolutions that's no longer required.
I think they would be superseded by the deferral, unless they... I have to read the motions.
I don't think we'd need to bring paper back to... what's the word?
So it says procure the...
No,
Following
another
equipment,
submission.
subject to the approval of the amendment. Excavator, attachments.
That bit there and that bit down there.
So this bit here says,
Yeah.
subject to the approval of the amendment. We haven't got the approval of the amendment yet.
Which amendment are we talking about?
That's the RMF.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we don't have that yet.
So it can just slide.
So it can lie for the moment until we get the outcome of the grant.
Again, the cost of that should fall within under delegation because it shouldn't be that expensive. And we've already approved it previously. Yeah. Councillor Ira Cook, are you satisfied? Does that answer your question?
I'm probably still a little bit sort of... Yeah, I'll say yes for the time being. I'm satisfied with it, but I'm still a bit confused in my own mind, and I need a little bit more time to think about it.
Yeah, well, we've previously approved the acquisition of the tyre shredder, haven't we, under our waste?
It was in the approved budget, and then the change to the structure of that grant is what's the variation that's sitting with the state and the feds at the moment. The amended resolution, that's in there now that refers to subject to approval of the variation. We don't have the approval of the variation, that particular motion relating to waste can sit. What we've requested is deferral of the capital expenditure out of the budget.
Okay, all right. So a few moving parts of this, but hopefully down the track, not too far, we'll have our new tyre shredder and we'll be able to deal with the backlog of tyres that are here and deal with the future-proof that situation, so to speak.
Yeah, through the Mayor, I think the important thing here, these are deferrals, we're not putting a line through them, so certainly we'll come back through future annual plans or through future funding mechanisms, so we still need them.
Any other questions then relating to the new rubbish truck and the acquisition of that and the other moving parts involved? Just confirm that we've moved and seconded. Councillor Green moved, Councillor Rowan Cook seconded. So if our councillors are satisfied, we'll go forward now and vote on this motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. All right, over the page to item 15.5, which is the King Island Community Car purchasing their new vehicle. The responsible officer is the Deputy GM, also workshop last week. Jess, at your discretion to say anything, if you like, before we move and second the motion.
I think, as you say, we've workshopped this. I will apologise for the wordiness of the recommendation. It's just to make sure that this report, again, this is the community cars. We own it on their behalf. They make the money towards getting the new car. They run the service. We just help them a little bit with their running costs through the year, and we own the vehicle from a legal standpoint. It's basically just we're quite happy that they're happy to go ahead. There's a few moving parts with this. We have authority from the hospital auxiliary to transfer the funds that have been previously discussed. We've got the option of what the old vehicle's worth, which obviously we can't sell or take into plant until we know that the new one's here and running. So for transparency and accountability audit purposes for all of these different organisations, we need to have all of these things ticked off in our motion. Ultimately, it's a cost-neutral exercise for council because we already contribute to their running costs. There's no change in that. We'll also execute a new agreement with them that reflects the old one very, very much the same. So shouldn't be anything too dramatic, I don't think. Just that they do a fabulous job and we want to keep seeing them succeed and keep supporting them how we can.
All right, thank you, Jess. We'll get a mover and a seconder for this motion. Somebody like to move? Deputy Mayor has moved. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. Yes, just to confirm exactly what the Deputy GM said, the successful fundraising by the Community Car Group, they do with their theatrical things, like the one being planned next month, the theatrical plays, etc., as well as charging the customers for trips as they do, that has raised the money to pay for this new car entirely, and they've done really well to raise the kind of money that we're talking about. So well done to the Community Car Group and well done to all those paying passengers and all those people that support their theatrical troupes and all the kind of fundraising activities they do. The fueling of the car and on-road costs are covered by the council each year. We think that's money well spent because we don't have a public transport system here on the island, or taxis or buses or anything like that. So we think that's money well spent. The community car pay for their own drivers, pay for their own insurance for their drivers, and obviously their drivers are volunteers. So it's a win-win arrangement that we've got with the community car. They want us to do their procurement for them, which we'll go out to tender for. They've picked the specs of the car they want, and they've chosen a really good one. Hopefully that'll happen in the next few months. And then the new car will be delivered with the optional extras they want. It'll be fielded, the volunteer drivers trained up on it, etc. And then only when that new car successfully hits the road will we be able to dispose of or retask of the current community car. What'll happen to that, who knows? But nice, it'd be good if it can stay on the island because it's proven to be a pretty good car, pretty reliable car, and well maintained.
And that whatever they get in trade-in for that or in sale or trade-in for that will go back into the community car. So again, that's not, that.
Or if we were to take it ourselves as a pool car, council pool car would give them the market value for it. Again, win-win arrangements. So, any further questions then? Discussion points, Councillor Green?
I'd just like to note, I think they've made a very wise decision. Probably my best friend has got one of these cars, and it's a beaut little car, and it's very economical on fuel and really nice to ride in. So I think they've made a really good choice, and I'd expect that the fuel costs are going to come down because the hybrid works very well.
Yeah, well said, Councillor Green. I had one of those cars myself as a hire car last month, and like all cars, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you think heavier and heavier. But these new hybrid engines these days, I've flogged the guts out of my hire car, and it was very efficient. So I was impressed with that, and it has the ability to carry what they need to carry and do what they need to do, and so they've picked the right car. So good on them. Again, a nice new shiny car for the volunteer community car drivers. It's always nice to have a nice new toy to play with, and hopefully it might encourage a few more volunteers to give them a bit more backup and redundancy to provide that service. Any other questions or discussion points? Just confirming, we've moved and seconded. The Deputy Mayor moved it. Councillor Ira seconded. So we're good to go. If everyone's happy, we'll vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. All right. There being no further ordinary meeting council business, would somebody like to move us into closed council? Councillor Laidler has moved. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The ordinary meeting is adjourned. Thank the public for attending and for listening to the recording. We'll take a quick break and then we'll resume for the closed meeting. Thank you.